Being a nurse is probably the best decision I've made, especially in my whole entire career. But there are certain things that I wish I would have known prior to being a nurse. And in this video, I'm going to be going over the 5 truths I wish they told me prior to being a nurse. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the channel, LifeofaPsychNP. If you are new to this channel, let me formally introduce myself. I'm Darty. I'm a board-certified psychiatric nurse practitioner, and in this channel, I go over several different subjects to educate the public about mental health, ways to improve your lifestyle, topics related to nursing, nurse practitioners, and specifically psychiatric nurse practitioners like myself. So if you are interested in any of these topics, feel free to subscribe. Make sure you like this video. It helps me out so much with the YouTube algorithm. And follow me on Instagram at LifeofaPsychNP. So you probably clicked this video because you're interested in finding out what are the truths that I wish I would have known prior to being a nurse. And honestly, this probably wouldn't have influenced it that much, but at the same time, I wish someone would have told us instead of selling us the dream of how great it is to be a nurse, because at the end of the day, it can influence someone's decision whether or not they want to be a nurse or not. Like I said, it doesn't matter to me, and being a nurse has been the best decision I've made, but at the same time, depending on the person, it may not be the best choice. So without further ado, let's go over the 5 truths that I wish I would have known prior to being a nurse. So let's go. So the very first truth that I wish I would have known prior to being a nurse is how hard the schedule is. So when you think about working 312s, you think, oh dang, I have 4 days off. Yes, it's going to be the best thing, only working 3 days instead of 5 like the normal person. But when you look at how much we work during a 12-hour shift and maybe even commuting there and to home, it's going to be super exhausting. You have to do so much work in this 12-hour shift. And sometimes it seems like you're putting way more work instead of just working that regular 8-hour shift. So you always have to think about the schedule and how enduring it is and how hard it is, because at the end of the day, you're going to be working anywhere from 12 to 15 hours consecutive days, maybe every other day, and maybe you have to even consider working nights and then having to adjust to the day shift and then having to adjust to so many different things. And you have to think about working every other weekend sucks. So sometimes I wish I would have known that the schedule isn't as easy as it seems, but it's definitely harder than what you think. So the second truth that I wish I would have known prior to being a nurse is that nursing is not only just providing medical care, but it's way more and maybe way more tiring. And what I mean about other care, you're talking about being the mediator, you're talking about being housekeeping, you're talking about being able to advocate for your patient, you're talking about all the other stuff you have to do. It's not just all putting in IVs, saving lives, doing things like that, but you have to do so much. When I was in the ER, I had to do so much. I had to change my own beds. I had to serve the patient their food, get them water. I had to advocate for my patients when it came to doctor's orders. I had to do so much more. And I wish I would have just focused on just medical care alone, but there's so much more to nursing. And yes, it's extremely rewarding, but at the same time, it can get so tiring, frustrating, so much more. So you always have to think about the other type of care compared to just medical care. So the third truth that I wish I would have known prior to being a nurse is that your body is going to wear down. And the reason being is because as a nurse, you do so much. You're constantly walking, you're constantly bending down, constantly bending up, you're constantly pushing things, pulling things, bending over. You're doing so much with your body mechanics, and sometimes when you're in a rush, you might not do it properly. And obviously you want to do things properly, but at the same time, depending on the situation, if someone's coding in front of you, you're going to do whatever it takes to be able to save their lives. And sometimes your body mechanics might not be able to handle it, and over time that your body's going to start to break down. And I wish this weren't the case, but at the same time, it definitely does. And I wished I would have known this especially when they sell you the dream of how amazing being a nurse is, which it is, but at the same time, your body pays for it super hard, especially in the long run. So the fourth thing that I wish I would have known prior to being a nurse is that you're always gonna feel underpaid. And let's face it, as nurses, we get really good money, but at the same time, the amount that we have to do, the amount of work we have to put in, the amount that we endure sometimes from patients and family and doctors, it might not seem like it's worth it, and you're always gonna feel underpaid. And I wish I would have known this, because at the same time, I wanna feel what I'm worth, but if you're constantly feeling like you're underpaid, then it's tough. So I wish I would have known this. So my fifth and final truth that I wish I would have known prior to being a nurse is you're gonna miss out on a lot of your social life. And unfortunately, this is the case depending on your schedule, depending on if you work days or nights, or which weekend you work. Is it every other weekend or the last weekend out of the month? But regardless of what you work, you're gonna miss out on a lot of different things. You're gonna miss out on birthdays, you're gonna miss out on vacations, you're gonna miss out on opportunities to go day drinking with your friends or going to the club with your friends. And unfortunately, this is the case because our schedules are really tight and we have to work such long hours. And sometimes it's super exhausting just being able to get off of work and all you want to do is just get home and go to sleep. And sometimes this is the case, and I wish it weren't the case, but you are going to miss out on a lot of social events. You can do your best to be able to kind of make it flexible to that, but sooner rather than later, you're going to end up missing at least one thing. So you always have to be prepared for that. And I wish I would have known this, because when they sold us the dream of just working 3 days, you're going to think that you have to do everything, or you can do everything. But realistically speaking, after working those 3 days, or even after one 12-hour shift, you're exhausted. So definitely think about that. Well guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're able to learn something, and I hope it actually helped you in understanding how sometimes nursing isn't all that great. Yes, there's certain cons, but at the end of the day, you have to always outweigh the pros and cons in any big decision that you make. I'm not here to influence you and stop not wanting to be a nurse, but I'm here to definitely just give you some insight on what it takes to be a nurse sometimes. And being a nurse is hard. It takes a lot of sacrifice. But if you definitely are interested and you put your mind to it, and that you're able to kind of pursue this passion, then you'll definitely do great. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, have a wonderful day. Bye.